Hi, and welcome back into Half Hour Huddle. I'm the Director of Content for Yale, Alabama. My name's Aaron Suttles, and every Wednesday we bring you the best from student athletes at the University of Alabama, and we got a great one for you today. And Tim Keenan, we'll bring him in just a second. If you keep up with Alabama football at all, he was a name we heard about in fall camp, that it was his time, that he was coming, and he has certainly proved that. He had an absolutely monster game on the road at Texas A&M. We'll ask him all about that and take your questions for him as well. As you can see in the if you've looked at the weather forecast, there's a little bit of chill in the air, which is why I'm rocking the Yay Alabama hoodie today. You can check that out at Yay Alabama. Go to the merch. We got quarter zips, we got multiple hoodies, we got vests. And so make sure if you got someone in your life that's looking for a pretty good fit on game day that's going to stand out from the crowd, make sure you're checking out Yay Alabama merch. We got polos as well, t-shirts, hats. We got that all at Yay Alabama. Make sure you follow us on our socials, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. We got some great content, social media content that we show the personality of some of our great student athletes that you don't often get to see that side of it. You see them on the court, on the field, but they got great personalities. And one of the joys of this job for me is to getting to know them off the field of competition, because it sort of keeps me young. These are great kids, and they do a lot of great things in our community. And so we love showcasing them, and make sure that you're following us on social for all of that. With that being said, we're going to bring in Mr. Tim Keenan, defensive lineman at the University of Alabama, who had an absolutely, as I mentioned, just a monster game on the road at Texas A&M. Tim, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
So tell me a little bit about Texas A&M. That was a hard-fought game, right? Two great defenses going at it. Alabama did just enough on offense, but there were times that, especially in the second half, where that front seven that you guys were absolutely terrorizing poor Max Johnson. I was joking that he probably felt it on Monday. He probably needed some cold tub after what you guys did to him.
Well, yeah, Texas A&M, they're a great team. They have a great competitive spirit. It was a great hard-fought game. And then we end up just clicking together. Everybody knew, we had to make a stop and we had to make some shake and get a turnover. So everybody decided to eventually rush us one and just have fun with it.
So obviously, if for those who've never been there, I've been there covering games. It's a pretty loud environment, but I'm not on the field when the crowd's at its highest. What's the noise level like when that place is rocking?
Well, it definitely gets pretty loud, but for us being on defense, it was pretty quiet when the offense was on the field. But being on the sidelines as we was making adjustments, it definitely got pretty loud in there.
Yeah. So, just tell me a little bit about this defense. This defense seems to be getting better and better each week. It looks like one of those classic Alabama defenses that we've seen throughout the years, and it starts up front with you and Jaheim and Dallas and Chris Braswell, who's playing really well, and then in the middle, when Deontay's out there and healthy, and on the back end, you got Kool-Aid and Malachi and Terrion. It just seems like a defense that's really confident right now.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we believe in each other. We know we got a job to do. And the guys you said, from Malachi to Jay Key to D-Law to Kool-Aid to Terrion to Caleb to, Justin to Tim to Jaheim to Trez, to everybody. It's a defensive effort. Jihad, Story, all them guys. We out there to, we got a job to do. We're gonna have fun doing it, and we're gonna celebrate our brother whenever we, get a turnover or whatever we do. But it's just basically we playing for each other a lot. There's a lot of love on that defense right now, and we understand the goal we want to do at the end. So that's what's been the motto. So to Dallas, I can't forget about Dallas and Braz either.
You know what else exciting for Alabama fans is that there were a lot of names that you named, and you just kept going, which means there's a lot of good quality depth on this defense. Was there a moment maybe in camp or in the off season, or maybe it was in the season, that you realized, okay, we got something here? This is, obviously you always had a lot of confidence in your defense ever since you've been here, but this year it looks different. There's a physicality of this defense. There's a dominance to this defense that we hadn't seen in a while. Did you have a moment of realization that this was possible for this defense?
Definitely back from just the summer, how everybody was. It was a mission. No question was asked. It was understood and had to be said. and it was time for people like me. I had a new opportunity, a new responsibility ahead of me, and I had things that I wanted to do. So everybody was out to handle that job and get that mission done.
We're here with Tim Keenan, defensive lineman at the University of Alabama. If you have any questions, you're in on the video. Click beneath the video to comment, and we can get your question live. And let's go to we had some questions already submitted from our subscribers at Yale, Alabama. Let's grab the first one here from Bob. How much did hearing all week about how great Texas A&M's defensive front, how much did that inspire you and your teammates to prove everybody that you are better?
Well, we know they have a good defense, and we have a good offense to, a great offense to fight the battle. But we knew we just had a job for us to do and focus on what we were doing, so we won't shoot ourselves in the foot, and mainly, go out there, execute the plan, and just have fun doing it.
I got to ask you, if you're a student of Alabama football, especially in the Nick Saban era, there's something about the Birmingham area in guys, defensive tackles on this team, from Marcel Darius to Quinnen Williams to Deron Payne, and now you're the latest one. What is it about the Birmingham area that produces such good defensive linemen?
Because it's a grit to us. We're not just necessarily the flashes, but we some hard workers, no matter what. Just like Quinnen, at first because everybody was saying he was too small. Now look, he went top 3. Then with Deron, he went first round, and Marcel first round. So it's a grit to us. It's a want to, and with those expectations, I knew I had big shoes to fill, and I prayed every day that God helps me fill those shoes and keep playing to the expectation of the Birmingham D lineman. And with DJ Dale, I have to give him props to DJ Dale because he helped mold me into the player I am on and off the field, because he was just a great technician, and how the tenacity he played with. And those 2 years just watching him, I learned a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned his name. That was certainly an omission by me. I wonder, as you start talking about some of those great defensive linemen, do you feel not pressure, but they set the standard that you need to sort of match it?
Yeah, it's a standard. I look at it as a challenge. Like, is your name gonna be up there with the Birmingham greats and stuff like that? So, it's a day-to-day process. Of course, it's not gonna happen overnight, and I'm working hard as I can to do whatever I can for the team. And so, like Kool-Aid say all the time, you ain't got to be special to do something special.
Yeah, that's what I love about this defense. A lot of Alabama guys represented, from Malachi, and as you mentioned, Kool-Aid and yourself, Deontay there in the middle. Love when those Alabama State guys start repping on the defense. Let's grab another question here. This one coming from Kyle. Against Texas A&M, you used bull rush techniques very successfully. Was that leverage advantage something you picked up on in film, or something you learned in the game?
A little bit of both, especially like I know my strengths and stuff like that. And actually from film watching, me and for Big Phil, for Darian Mathis, we still keep in contact. And he was like, "Hey man, you ever get a chance, hit him with the hump move." So I took his advice, and I ended up getting that sack on Johnson.
Yeah. So for those who've never maybe played the game, describe what the hump move is.
So a hump move is when you like you said bull rush, and it's just like you take a haymaker and swing it as hard as you can, going in the opposite direction of which you was first going.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty you gotta make sure you time it right, because if you don't, it may go the other way.
Well, speaking of, obviously, you got to have a lot of strength to do a bull rush. Just in terms of your progression since you've been at the university and been in the strength and conditioning program, how much stronger are you now than when you got there, and what was the transformation like for your body?
So I always been a hard worker, no matter what. I was heavy coming in because I suffered an injury due to my senior year, but I finally locked in, and really I got right with God. Because before I would work hard, and I would see results, and I'd be strong in some areas, but it wasn't consistent. But it was because I wasn't consistent with God. Once I got consistent with God, I'm here talking to you now. You feel me? So it's just The weight room, Coach Ballou, he is great. Coach Paul, Coach Ricks, Coach, Hugh J, everyone in there. It's just it's hard work and it's a want to. Like we come in the weight room, want to get stronger, want to have fun, and it's great encouragement. Once you see them power numbers going up, like if growing up you just think, oh, how many plates on each side, but once you see the power you're generating, you always want to try to beat that and work towards that. So it's been great having, especially this summer, just the full transformation. I feel better. As the game shows, I've been playing better too. But you got a lot of time to think about what you want to do. Sitting on the bench for 2 years.
That's true. Let's grab another question from one of our subscribers, one of our members. This one coming from Jimmy. The defense has really shut down the other team in second halves recently. What do you guys go over at halftime to come out so strong in the second half?
It's basically a challenge. Like, okay, what we did in the first half, it was decent. Now let's better that. Let's go ahead and cut the head off the snake. Let's go ahead and take over and dominate, like Coach Saban preaches all the time.
So I wanted to ask you specifically about the Texas A&M game, something I noticed. And again, I've never played at this level, so maybe you can give us some insights. But I did notice that Max Johnson, the Texas A&M quarterback, the rush was getting to him so much that he just kept dropping the pocket and dropping the pocket. When you see that, and obviously that they're having to, a quarterback obviously wants to step into a throw, but so many times he was off his back foot. Do you see it in his eyes when the defensive line starts to affect a quarterback like that?
Definitely. Once we know we got him rattled, it's just so much like he don't know where it's coming from, especially in a game like that. You see first like in that play that's been going kind of viral. You see your center go down, and then you see your guard getting pushed over him. And to me, I was just looping around. But Jaheim, I seen Jaheim jump at me like that. I don't know, man. That's a big human right there, man. But it's just once you get the quarterback to focus on the rush instead of look downfield, then it's always good.
Well, I'm going to ask you about that play because you mentioned it has gone viral, and there's a slow motion video, like a replay of it, that I put in my timeline this week. That the right guard falls, and then the center trips over him, and you and Jaheim, which are very large, very fast, very strong men, are coming directly up the middle at poor Max Johnson, and then he can't even move to the left because he's got Dallas coming off the edge of him. What was it like in that? Because it's obviously in slow motion, it looks like it's happening forever, but in that moment, it's happening very, very quickly. What was that? I mean, that's a defensive lineman's dream, right? When two offensive linemen fall down.
It was definitely like it's like that pretty girl you've been been looking at all day or all night or whatever, and you finally get to go up and talk to her, and she was like, yeah. So if that's what a sack is like, that's definitely what a sack is like, especially being an interior guy because you deal with so many double teams and guards rocking back on you and stuff like that. No, it was definitely a time to remember. And then once we got him there, we just had to punish him for it.
Yeah, and the very next play, Justin Aboigbe comes from the end and gets the safety. It just felt like that moment. It just felt like they couldn't do anything. They could not block you guys right then.
Yeah, it was great seeing Justin come and get a great hit on the QB all the time. Then it turned out to be a safety. So turnovers like sacks turning into points is always great. And I'm happy Justin, he's got nominated for SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. So props to him. And we just we got to keep building on it.
The guy you mentioned earlier, I want to ask you about Caleb Downs, freshman. You could just look.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the untrained eye can see he's getting more and more confident every week. He's got 2 consecutive games now with an interception. He had a big pass breakup the week before at Ole Miss, or against Ole Miss rather. Just talk about a freshman coming in and being able to contribute on this defense. It's pretty experienced.
Definitely, that's a guy of business. He comes in like he handles things like a professional. It's from schoolwork, just hanging out, to up here at the facility is just different. It's a different vibe from him. Very mature, and I'm happy to see how he's excelling and how the plays he's making.
All right, let's grab another question from one of our members here at Yay, Alabama. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you click on that button beneath the video. Kyle wants to know, you seem more powerful than years past. What lifts in the offseason do you think contributed to the explosion in your strength?
Um, Really all of them. It's just I was it looks I was always strong, but I was bigger, so you couldn't really see the explosiveness. You couldn't see my muscles seem to activate. It just used to, look like just a strong or a strong type of guy. But now you can actually see, it's kind of like poetry, emotional, how I've been playing.
Yeah, I've gotten a personal tour of the weight room from Coach Ballou, and the technology that you guys have in there. The way that they measure the quickness and the explosion of how you guys move weight. It's next level. It's not just you guys go in and lift a bunch of weight. Obviously, there's some heavy weight, but there's a lot more that goes into it than just throwing weights. The technology, it's the personalization. It's really impressive. You guys as strength growth.
Definitely. Yeah,
Let's grab another
definitely.
question here. This one coming from Steve. Is there an NFL player you model your game after?
I would say model my game after, as far as like it's different players I can see myself like. So as far as like I say a Aaron Donald, but really it's between like a Quinnen and Deron. I try to play like, because Quinnen, he definitely stopped the run, but he was just so slippery with his pass rush. And then with Deron, he definitely can get to the ball, get to the quarterback, but the way he was just so dominant, a dominant force in that middle, and so strong, and just being so stout in the middle. I try to model my games after those two. And then as far as with my technique, like DJ Dale, I try to hone in on my technique and be a technician like him.
Can you explain why Quinnen is so good? Because as you mentioned, you said it earlier, he's not the biggest guy, but he's so unbelievably quick there in the middle and he can jump gaps. And but just looking at him, you're like, okay, that he doesn't look like Aaron Donald. I mean, you mentioned Aaron Donald. He doesn't look like Aaron Donald. What makes Quinnen so good?
His It's just your want to, your ability to, like, that's another thing in Birmingham. And from being like Birmingham, it's like a different type of pride. Like, nah, this my gap. I'm finna get this gap and stuff like that. So it's all about how bad you want to do your job at the end of the day. And Quentin, as you can see, he wants to do his job very badly.
We're thankful that Birmingham area linemen continue to come to Alabama because they certainly stand up when they get here. Let's grab another question. This one coming from Jimmy. Who is the toughest offensive lineman you faced on Alabama and on other teams?
Woo! All right, freshman year, being on scout team, I thank God for that. Cause learning how to play a double team coming from Evan Neal, man, it is you learn quick. You
That's a
learn
big
quick how to sit on a double team from Evan
yeah.
Neal. So um and all them guys from my freshman year, then just other teams, they have great O
Yeah.
linemen to going against. But now I have to say our O lineman Seth, T Book, Big Jaden, Dalcourt, Ferg, JC, Prop, Pritch, all them guys there. I they definitely get me better every day, every
Yeah.
day.
Tell me about the team because you mentioned earlier that it's hard when you're really good. Obviously, to be at Alabama, you were really good wherever you came from, and it can be hard to sit and wait your turn or to have to develop. And you said you waited 2 years to see a guy like Jaden get his opportunity at Texas A&M. I mean, it's got to feel good for a guy that's put in the work, that's out there bleeding and sweating and sacrificing, and he gets his opportunity. I imagine everybody feels good for a player when that moment comes along.
Definitely, because it's a moment of you get to look at the fruits of your labor. We thank God. Like me and him, just after he was crying, man, we hugged up, man. I was like, bro, you work for this, bro. Like, to God be the glory. Like, this how it's supposed to be. So all them times when guys get their opportunity and they make the most of it is always beautiful. And then it's another beautiful thing to see that you got teammates that's happy for you and proud of you too. So
Man, that's a beautiful story. You sharing that of you and Jaden. Thank you for sharing that. Let's grab another question. This one coming from Bob. when you aren't dining at the training table, which is unbelievable, by the way. The food that you guys get's pretty stellar. You guys had, I think, a pig this week. Is that right? For our
Yeah, we had a big hog.
All right. So aside from in the facility dining, what's your favorite Tuscaloosa restaurant, and what do you order?
mm, I'm gonna have to say, Full Moon. Full Moon. I get the quarter chicken with mac and cheese and baked beans with extra chow chow, and
Man,
then it's just Full Moon great, and I love barbecue.
there you
I
go.
love barbecue, but I think it's just because I think I love the grill too. Just like in my spare time, we have time going out there, just enjoying, then making food for people. Because I'm a big people person. I love to, show people a good time and just have a good time and have fun from time to time.
All right, Full Moon, you heard it. Let's give this man some food. Let's get a deal from Tim, pumping your restaurant. I think we got some more questions here. A little more time here with Tim Keenan. We always appreciate the graciousness of these student athletes with their time, because they come straight from classes. They got meetings, then they got to get on the practice field, and they got schoolwork on top of it. So we certainly appreciate your time. Tim, David wants to know, I love watching you play. My question is, how often do you and your teammates lift weights during a normal game week? I know you have a lot going on with school and practice.
Well, we always got our scheduled lifts, but you can lift weights every day. Um, I do three times a week. It just depends on whenever you able to, but it's really you only mandatory for two. But other than that, it's people don't just go to two.
Well, we got four more questions here for the great defensive lineman Tim Keenan, who's having a career year. If you haven't studied it, if you don't watch defensive line play, you're missing out, because he absolutely wrecked shop against the Aggies. Jimmy wants to know, what activities do you enjoy outside of football?
I'm a real simple guy. I like being in nature. Fishing. My dad, he taught me how to fish when I was younger, and like I've been in love with it since. Especially again, like we fish for crappie and bass, so he a big crappie guy. I've been on more the bass side lately, but now crappie some good eating brim, all them type of fish. Um, I like just going out there and sitting and enjoying God's creation, because you can cast the line about 100 times and not get a bite, but just being out there, being able to breathe, take in, see the sun, see the trees, see the water, just see the structure and the archetype that how beautiful and how great God is of an artist.
Yeah, what great perspective from Tim. I also remember talking to Will Anderson last year. He loved to fish too, so some fishermen on this Alabama football team. Let's grab another question here. Tia wants to know. There's a young. I'm blanking on YB, but or Little Dirk. Who you got?
It's see me. I personally, I don't really listen to neither one of them that much. Now YB, I pick YB over Dirk though in this instance, but I'm Future Hendrix and Gunna type guy,
Yeah. All right, so
Big Avo and stuff like that.
he is going to clown me for messing that question up, but I'm glad. Steve wants to know, what was the main reason you decided to come to Alabama?
Because they was straight to the point, and then on visits, no matter where I was at, it was always about Alabama. Like no matter where I went, it was like, well, this at Alabama. I'm just like, man, I thought I was at this visit, but I knew it would be better for me long term as far as like, cause you it's the best of the best. So I knew it was gonna be the work and the grind and like what they produce, especially like you said, like the Birmingham D lineman, like we got a good rep down here. So prayed ass guy, he led me here, and it's just been probably the best decision I had in my life.
So I got a question. You had a question earlier about how many times you lift during the week. I mean, we're 6 games in. You're halfway through the regular season. In terms of soreness, in terms of where your body is and being fresh, how beat up is a team right now halfway through the season when they haven't had a bye week yet? They've had the physicality of playing Texas out of conference, and now you're in the middle of SEC play, where we all know is super physical. Uh, how do you feel at this point of the season?
Um, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you I feel 100%. But it gets to the point where are you hurt or are you injured? You feel me? So that's That's my motto. If it, God gave me 2 feet. So if my right foot hurt, I can play on the left. But no, I feel I'm all right. I'm feeling good. Ready to go out there and practice today. Get a great day of practice in. Get my guys better, challenge the offensive line like we always do, and just go get after it.
What does it do for a team when you see, because you guys are all, you could all, there's everyone on that defense, everyone on that team has bumps and bruises that they can complain about. But when you see a guy that's fighting through some pain, like what Deontay Lawson did at Texas A&M, where we all know he had the ankle injury, misses the Mississippi State game, but to see him back so quickly and to really fight through it for his defense, for his team, what does that do for the defense?
It definitely does. Like, we want to play harder, like for each other, even more harder, because we know this man out here in pain. We know that he not feeling his best, but he trying to do his thing and do his job to be out there for us. So why not, return the favor and match him, not even match him, but overflow his cup. So I do my best, I did my best. Like, hey, I ain't gonna let him climb to you, big bro. I got you. I'll hold him down.
Yeah, man, I keep saying it, but you just had a monster game. All right, final question with Tim Keenan, defensive lineman at the University of Alabama, who's put his name, his name is ringing out across the SEC based on his play this year. Tia wants to know Daron Payne or Quinnen Williams, a couple of those Birmingham guys that you talked about that has that grit to them, those Birmingham area linemen on the defense. But if you had to pick one, which one are you going with? You going with Payne or Williams?
Well, they both went first round, and they both great in their own way. So it'll be kind of hard because I look up to both, and they're both like great at what they do. So, I can't choose on that one. It have to be or, because it's just I know both of them personally, so I'm not gonna get into none of that. But I do think of them as both highly great players, elite players.
And you're the next one, right? You're the next one we're going to
Yeah.
be talking about years from now, coming from Birmingham. Hey, remember when Tim played?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I plan on it.
Awesome. He is Tim Keenan, great defensive lineman at the University of Alabama. Make sure you're supporting him, supporting all the student athletes at Yale, Alabama by going for a membership today. Several membership options. Tim, thanks for your time. Good luck the rest of the week, and good luck against Arkansas for homecoming.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Man, just another great half-hour huddle interview with a student athlete at the University of Alabama. I'm spoiled at this point. The privilege of this job to get to not only get to know them a little bit behind the scenes, but to share some of this with you guys. A dream come true for me, because there are personalities like Tim and several of the student athletes that we feature each and every week. They're littered across this campus, and the joy of this job for me is to be able to remove the veil and sort of get out of the way and let you just experience what these student athletes are like. Because traditionally, your experience with a student athlete is watching them on the field of competition. And obviously, that's why they're at the university, because they're great at a particular skill or sport, and they got the opportunity to come here. But there's a lot more to them than that. As Tim mentioned, just sitting in nature, fishing or grilling. And so, man, it is such a blessing to get to bring these student athletes to you each and every Wednesday. And that's why your support for Yale, Alabama is so important. It's integral to the success and the future of Alabama athletics. So make sure that you're signing up for a membership. Make sure you're telling a friend, a church member, someone at a Little League baseball game. Make sure that they know what Yale, Alabama is, what our mission statement is to support student athletes in this world of name, image, and likeness. Thanks to Tim Keenan for his time as a defensive line, and that defense continues to build each and every week. One of the best defenses in the country, as one of our subscribers and questions highlighted. No one was talking about them going into that Texas A&M game, but they're talking about Alabama's defense after that game, after they absolutely got after Max Johnson time and time again, including the viral video. If you haven't seen it, I mean, imagine a more frightening scene than Dallas Turner coming off the edge and Jaheim Otis basically climbing over Tim Keenan to get to you. And the two guys in front of them that are supposed to be blocking you have fallen down. That video in slow motion is absolutely terrifying and should put into perspective that none of us, well, very few of us, could actually play any sport at the level that these guys play. So thanks to Tim Keenan. Thanks to you guys for watching. Until next Wednesday, this is Half Hour Huddle, and I'm Aaron Suttles.